At Dave Cooper Live, we connect the industry leaders in the architectural, engineering, and construction space with the people, the products, and the processes to help them build it better. Welcome everybody, live from Saudi Arabia Infrastructure Expo. We're talking industrialized construction and infrastructure. Today we welcome industrialized construction and prefab MEP specialist Neil Viic, currently with Victrolic, a leading producer of mechanical pipe joining solutions. With 25 years of experience in the realm of MEP prefabrication and industrialized construction, and now living, not just himself, his entire family in Saudi Arabia. We're going beyond NEOM with this global guru. But first, we got to take a minute and thank our good friends, Cobalt Creed. Speaking of MEPs, they're powering up the Dave Cooper Live show and the team with their small duct, energy efficient central HVAC in homes and businesses where space is a premium. So please reach out and say hello to our good friends Sean Intagliata and Dave Stewart. All right, let's give a big warm welcome to, that's right, all of our other supporting members for Dave Cooper. Forward Solutions Group is successfully driving companies to succeed where others have failed. Are you looking to start a factory, optimize your existing factory, streamline your production, or take your team to the next level? Whatever your needs are, Forward has a solution for you. Reach out to Ben at forwardsolutionsgroup.com. Viic Ltd. has a long history of innovation in cold form steel manufacturing and producing innovative precision roll forming technology for customers throughout the United States and the world. Check out their machine buyer's guide for off-site modular construction or fast build construction with light steel for framing. Go to their website, viicltd.com. Brought to you by Greatech, one of the largest Autodesk partners globally and software developer of the PowerPack Advanced Design, Advanced Steel, and the StruxSoft product line. The complete solution to automate wood and light gauge steel framing, design, and documentation all the way out to CNC output, model, design, and manufacture with StruxSoft. Learn more at StruxSoftSolutions.com. All right, again, thank you to all of those supporting members and all of our supporting members right here below. If you want to be one of our supporting members to help keep this show going and have your logo ticking across the bottom, well, make sure you reach out to us. Our newest member, HSB CAD. Thank you so much for joining the Dave Cooper Live program all the way from Europe. We are a global conversation, and we're here to make the building environment better for all of us. All right, so with that said, further ado, let's bring on Neil Viic here. Neil, how are you, sir?
I'm great, thank you. Thanks for having me.
You don't have a Saudi Arabian accent, man. Like, where are you from?
Yeah, I was originally born and raised in Coventry in the UK. Yes, so,
In
it was
Coventry, huh? Perfect.
yeah, nice part of the world. Big automotive industry during its day. Not so much now, but yeah, it was a nice place to grow up.
Awesome. Well, hey, listen, Neil, as we do with everybody on the show, we want to know everything about you from the moment you're born to this very moment in time. Do not leave out any of the good stuff from the hospital, or we're going to have your wife and kids and everybody else on the show, and they're really going to tell us how it's going and about those electronics pay your speeding ticket stuff you got going on. But the floor is yours. You only have about a minute and a half to do it. Go for it.
Sure, no problem. Thank you, Dave. Yeah, so like I say, I was born and raised in Coventry in the UK. I was an 80s baby and spent most of my life growing up in and around that automotive industry. And yeah, as the dream of not becoming a professional footballer died in my early teens, I decided that I needed to venture into something a little bit different. University wasn't my thing. I wasn't a real academic. I found that I did a couple of years of shop and woodwork in school, and knew I was destined to continue using my hands if being a professional goalkeeper wasn't going to be it. So moved into plumbing, mechanical fitting, welding, and my journey then was a very early introduction to Victolic, where I am today. Was after learning how to weld, it was like, well, okay, here's this Victolic system, and what's this all about? I've just spent ages learning how to do all these other skills, and now I can. It's null and void. This Victolic system is great, but it did give me exposure into prefabrication. So my prefabrication journey started 25 years ago in plumbing systems. And I worked with numerous companies in the UK. Worked for one of the biggest distributors in the UK. I was a father of two before I was the age of 21. Bought my first house when I was 18. So a very young father, and trying to get the money to come in. And I met my wife in 2012. Well, this is going to be testing me now.
Don't mess this one up.
Early 2000s. We've been married 15 years now, and we have a 10-year-old son together. We moved to Australia back in 2010, and my two sons, adult sons now, very much love and remain in Australia, while Dad continues to work around the world and travel around the world. So 2 years ago, made the move to Saudi Arabia, worked on the NEOM Project. My wife moved back to the UK to be a little bit of a closer commute and a better timeline than being in Australia. And then, joined Victolic earlier this year, and they joined me a couple of months ago in Jeddah. And we're loving life, loving the Saudi lifestyle. So there you go.
Well, that's it. I mean, other than what people see on the news, Saudi is a beautiful place. The technology is insane, what they have going on over there. But there are cultural differences that you need to be aware of for sure. But like anything else, it's not what you always read about in the news.
Absolutely not. No, you just have to respect where you are, remember where you are, and respect that culture. And it is an amazing culture. It's an amazing lifestyle, and it's very, very hospitable. The people here are amazing and very, very welcoming. So, I knew my wife would settle in quite nicely, and we're venturing out and checking places out as time goes by.
So tell us, we're going to hop into what Victolic does here in a moment, but are you in Saudi because you're working on the NEOM project full time?
Yes, I worked on the NEOM project full time for 2 years. When I joined Victolic, I was working closely with Victolic from a supply chain perspective. So I was part of an MEP team for the line project for 2 years. Come towards the end of that contract and seen an opportunity to join Victolic, who, like I mentioned, I've worked with, I've known their products and their people for over 2 decades now. And their intention was to expand further into the country. They have been distributing here for about 12 years and have numerous people on the ground. But their next expansion was in and around solutions provision, mainly in and around prefabrication, because how else are we going to deliver some of these mega giga projects? And that's why I was talking to them from the other side. So yeah, that's the venture.
Yeah. So tell me, you got into Victaulic. Why don't you give us just the overview of who Victaulic is, what it is you produce, and then I want to get into the solutions that you're providing, not only for Saudi Arabia and the NEOM Project, but for manufacturers, developers, multifamily. You have a much different approach than everybody else out there, which saves a ton of time. So, but first, tell us a little bit about the company.
So Victaulic was it's not a new company. It was established. The first Victaulic product was brought out in 1919, so celebrated its 105th year. And it the Victaulic coupling, which is known globally, is a quick coupling that connects piping systems. It's a quick connecting piping solution. So a very early form of prefabrication. It was designed to move fluids and liquids during the First World War, and has evolved massively since there. So the catalogue of products from Victaulic is vast, spanning multiple industries: oil and gas, mining, fire, non-fire, commercial. But the era of the widget, the era of the component, there are still thousands and thousands of Victaulic patents out there. Anything that's good does get copied. And we do get images from time to time, and it's not our product. But it's a bit like you pull a tissue out and people say it's a Kleenex. It's a Victaulic. If they see a coupling, it's a Victaulic. They see a vacuum cleaner, it's a Hoover. So that's the name that Victaulic's had. And it's then expanded into valving and other solutions. But we're in an era of solutions. We need solutions to massive issues on site in and around labor, skill shortages. So there's not many welders left around, and if they are, you're paying very high rates for them. So we're not de-skilling the industry. What we're able to do is mass upskill the industry through certification of the installation of Victaulic products. But then there's the engineer and the design, all the value-added services that we can provide, right the way to engineered solutions, productized solutions, and ultimately prefabrication. The full scale. The only thing we don't do is installation. So we work with contractors and subcontractors. But again, we provide that full training certification. We have a Victaulic university, so there's numerous programs and certifications out there so that we can then warranty our products. Because after the builders are gone and the contractors are gone, those Victaulic couplings and valves and skids are going to remain. So we put a very high value to the brand. And like I say, I've used it for over 20 years myself. People within the organization I've known have been there for 20, 30, 40 years plus as well. So it's a great internally and externally organization.
So internally, Victaulic started solving problems, right, for the MEPs and mechanical world, right? Like how do you do more with less labor? You've named some of the problems already that the industry is facing. But let's talk about the challenges that you're seeing in offsite construction just in general, and also the challenges at NEOM, because NEOM has leaned heavily into offsite construction, I think for all the reasons you've already mentioned, plus others. But I want to hear your take on, where does Victaulic fit into all of this? And how does Victaulic not only help solve problems, the problems that but also help others, such as developers, such as, road builders and bridge builders and everybody else? Where do you guys fit in?
So I think the biggest thing is when you're talking to, whether it's a developer owner or a contractor, is finding out where a majority of their issues lie, where a majority of their painstaking points are. So contractors, it's labor rates, it's concentrated programs. Owner operators, it's the lifespan of the building, the maintenance costs. So the value add and the solutions are very much there with the Victaulic products. So from a maintenance perspective, the sustainability, the flexibility, and the reconfigurability of the Victaulic products and a range of products right the way in through to prefabrication is there. So that everybody benefits along the way, you know. So it's, even like the contractors, right down to the contractors. And I've said this before: if we just looking at two flanges and a gasket when it comes to the coupling, yeah, we might be a more expensive product. But what we try and do is we try and see where the pain points are in any organisation, and they're all the same. Talk to any contractor. It's time, it's cost, it's the schedule. So when we actually price that out and say, oh, okay, well, our coupling is X7 times quicker to install, and it uses a different skill set. When we start putting all those layers in, and then itemizing it, then we can start really showing the true value back to the individuals, back to the contractor, back to the builder, back to the owner developer, because everybody wins essentially. When we add prefabrication to the mix, what we're doing is we're just taking it that next level further through detailed engineered design, through the thought process of optimization of materials, through lean construction, increasing quality, pre-commissioning testing. We're just adding, you know, it's just more bolts on, you know. The age old, do you want fries with that? It just is never ending when you start moving into the prefabrication realm.
Right. So let me ask you this then, you know, Neil, if I'm a developer and I come to you and I say, listen, I have this entire project, my guess is first you're going to say, well, you should have came to us before you did this whole architectural drawing and schematics. But tell me how you're going to work with me, and where's the value add of having your team behind my team?
So majority of developers don't just have a project, they have numerous projects. You know, you have hotel organizations that build multiple hotels. So one of the first earlier questions we asked, okay, well, we will support you in a project if you need to, but what's the bigger opportunity here? What is the bigger painstaking process that you go through in your general development of your properties? Because there's an opportunity there to standardize and productize and come up with solutions that could be across multiple hospitals or hotels, for one. The next part is what we go through a very vigorous process to a pre-start process, so we can capture as much information. So rather than just having a general coffee call meeting, sitting around hearing about a project, we get that pre-start information and we get the architecturals and we see where they are in their design, and then we optimize that to a Victolic system. We rationalize it. We look at the amount of joints, we can reduce that to have 100% detailed design. And if we don't see value in prefabrication in certain areas, we will highlight that. We don't see value in the Victolic product in certain areas, we will highlight that, because we're looking at the lifespan and the maintenance of the building, because it's our products that are left in there. So once we've done that, we go back to the client, we can then make that proposal, and we can then learn more about what they're trying to achieve, learn more about their painstaking process, and we can then really dial into their true demands, and then develop an engineered solution. And again, that's what we're very much working on, is engineered solutions and value solutions back to the client, so that they can then see the lifespan. But we have that data and calculations over maintenance costs, change of gaskets, all these multiple leak points. I explained to a client the other day, from a procurement perspective, if we move away from flange to Victolic on a particular project, from a procurement perspective and then an installation perspective, it was saving in the region of about 62,000 bolts. So it's like, right, from an install, that's going to save; from a maintenance, that's going to save; the amount of leak points, that's going to save. So, we can find different values to get the buy-in from contractors, subcontractors, but ultimately the owner, developer as well.
Got it. And you guys are the manufacturer of the entire system as well, right? Just not the couplings, or do you design the whole thing and then provide a kit of parts, or are you prefabricating the entire MEP system offsite and then shipping it out, and then you have certified installers?
Yeah, so part of that process I was just talking about, I'm working with the contractors. Yeah, I was a contractor myself, and it's like, okay, you're taking food off my table if you're doing everything, what's left for me? But in some scenarios, fully prefabricated skids might not be viable based on location or sequencing through a building. So then we'll say, well, okay, let's go for a 2D sub-assembly that can then be maneuvered into position. or it may be an engineered design with kitted parts that is packaged and bagged and tagged within a controlled environment, and then sent out to site within sequence, within zones, to support the installer so that they know exactly where they're working, what they're installing. You haven't got multiple different deliveries. So there's different levels that we can go to based on the overall value, because we don't want to be doing everything prefabricated if it's just not viable. Because then we're just being busy and the numbers just don't balance. There's a number of things that we don't want to build if it's not viable and building. So yeah, that's one of the key areas there is what's right for the project, and what's right for the client, and then the logistics. Again, it comes back to that DFMA. So there's also logistics and transport in there. If we can't physically fit skids in there or transport them because of their size, do we make them smaller? If it's not viable to be smaller, do we do pump drops and engineered solutions that way, sub-assemblies, and then maximize loads on transportation? So there's a lot of analysis that goes on behind, but then we come up with the optioneering to the client, and then they can see on a scale where the best opportunities are.
Neil, one of the other things that we kind of spoke about prior to the show was the modularization of your product. And what I mean by that is we use a hospital build, for instance, right? You're building a hospital, 15, 20 years go by, you have to renovate that hospital and make changes. The way your system is designed, it's designed to simplify that process. True or false?
Absolutely true, yeah. So we look at reconfigurability and sustainability in a big way. So online, we've got a big part on our website in and around the sustainability of our product and the recyclability and the adaptability of the product. So the coupling itself is reusable. You change the gaskets, but the engineered design can be adapted. We've done multiple different projects. We're looking at different projects at the moment where a great example would be Olympics, or in Trujillo, you have the Asian Winter Olympics. Now, if you're building massive infrastructure, but then once that's finished, you don't need all that infrastructure, then you have a viable product that could be broken down back into its components or back into subcomponents that could be reused and readapted and sent elsewhere and repurposed. So hospitals is a great example from a maintenance perspective, but also hospitals change, as do shopping centres and a number of different buildings, and repurposing buildings is something that's going on at the moment. Post-COVID, commercial buildings are being looked to be moved into residential, and how reconfigurable it is. The Victolic system solution is already a reconfigurable solution, so it's already there. It's been tried and tested numerous times.
Yeah, for sure. Tell us a little bit about the projects you're currently working on over in Saudi, and then I want to hop over to what the trade show's been like.
Yeah, so there's obviously NEOM comes up quite a lot. And obviously with my connections of being there for nearly 2 years, there's a lot of integration. So there's massive infrastructure projects going on at the moment, and around desalination, dewatering, district cooling. There's currently 21 data centers being developed and built within country. And again, it's all based on this 2030 vision. So that's not just NEOM. There's the New Murabba and Qiddiya here in Riyadh. Qiddiya is a massive entertainment complex with Six Flags entertainment, massive water park. The recent announcement, they're going to build a Harry Potter world here. So there's massive infrastructure projects. There's a bid for the 2034 Football World Cup. They already have the Asian Cup. So there's about 7 PIF funded stadiums, which is all public knowledge, that are being developed at the moment. So again, if we're building 7 stadiums, there's an opportunity there for standardization and productization, but also reconfigurability post tournament. So it touches on that point I made earlier.
For sure, for sure. And I see there's some questions coming in. We're going to get to those questions here shortly, so stick with us. But I'm going to use this as a good opportunity before we jump into the Saudi Arabia Infrastructure Expo to do a little self-promotion. That's right. The International Code Council, that's right. The folks that write the codes here in the good old USA want all of you in the offsite community to come to their annual event. This is where all the code officials go for their training. It is their expo and their learning and their hearings, and they want to hear more from the experts out in the offsite space. So that is going to be happening in Long Beach, California, October 20th through October 23rd, 2024. Think about this, everybody. When was the last time the code officials asked you to come to their private event so the code officials from across the country and around the world can learn more about offsite construction, become better acquainted, and truly understand that it is a much better way to build? Because the way we've been doing it, it doesn't work. Have you seen all the homeless people around the world? If it's working, why is it so darn expensive and so hard to afford housing? Anywho, that's my skit. Neil, back to you, my friend.
Brilliant. Thank you. Thank you.
So tell us a little bit about the expo that's happening in Saudi Arabia, the Infrastructure Expo. What is an Infrastructure Expo?
Well, anything to do with, at the moment, is anything to do with large scale infrastructure. So there's a lot of pipelines, rail lines, metro lines. So anything to do with the city infrastructure, what makes a city run better. But there's a big focus on water. As you can imagine, being here in Riyadh, there's a number of different initiatives. Like I touched on before, Qiddiya and New Maraba, but they've developed a massive new metro system. But again, it's a massively expanding country, so the infrastructure and putting in the infrastructure for both energy and water is huge. When you look at the scale of projects, some of them, even in wastewater treatment. Out in NEOM, there's been about $38 billion investment for another 196 projects. So this is additional to what was already planned. So it seems almost like on a weekly basis, it's like, okay, there's another 10 billion, there's another 20 billion. The mining and metals will create more requirement for infrastructure. That's just been announced. That's public knowledge again. That's $2.5 trillion industry based on the exploration in country. So, yeah, it's not stopping anytime soon.
Are you seeing a lot of offsite solutions and different solutions at this expo that you weren't expecting to see?
I think, yeah. So there's a lot in and around innovation. So tech is a big side because and AI is a big thing as well, because again, within the engineering and within the planning process, generative design, AI can certainly play its part, because it can't just sit on one person's desk, and the amount of infrastructure that is being built, the amount of people needed to help design engineer this stuff, that technology is in big demand. When it comes to offsite, yes, the solutions, so the value drivers behind most of these projects are site safety is number one. And like you mentioned before, there are some misconceptions about Saudi Arabia and workforce, but I can guarantee that there's a large focus on site safety. So safety, time, cost, sustainability, zero waste, all the value drivers that very much align with prefabrication are there. The Public Investment Fund of Saudi Arabia are very, very, very clear, and even says on their website they are looking for modular manufacturers to come to country. There's a lot of expressions of interest there. So there's a big focus right the way up to the top. So therefore, if it's like, okay, if this is what's being mandated by the Public Investment Fund, which ultimately is paying for a majority of these projects, then we need to be adopting prefabrication. With a very ambitious timeline of 2030, that is the vision. That is what everybody is working to. I probably hear 2030 vision 20 times a day while I'm at the expo, probably 80 times a day. But that's the vision and that's the goal. And everybody's not sort of dismissing it. Everyone's like, let's do this. Let's prove we can do this. But from the being in Saudi Arabia, the inside looking out, it's like, well, if we do this, we can share it with the world of how we did what we did between, the last few years up until 2030, how we advanced the industry, and then let's share it because Saudi Arabia is going to have a lot of knowledge and insight of how things could and should be done.
When are the Olympics coming to Saudi? Isn't that 2030?
So the Asian Winter Olympics in Trojena is 2029, I believe it is 2028 or 2029. Yeah. The World Cup is in 2034. So yeah, but yeah, I'm a big football fan, so I'll just see football. I'm sorry, I don't.
That's right. That's right. What club? Just because everybody's going to ask me, what club?
So many people ask me what Premiership team. I was born and raised in Coventry. Therefore, I am a Coventry City fan. That's it. There is no other team for me. Coventry is my team. I was born and raised there, and that's it for me.
I'm not any fan, but I know more Hammer fans than I know anybody.
Yeah. We had our opportunity a year or two ago to try and get back to the Premier League, but we lost at Wembley to Luton, so we missed out. Only just, So right. We'll be back soon. We'll be back in the Premier. We'll just keep an eye out for us.
Well, Neil, do me a favor as you're out and about on that trade show floor. If you're heading back over there, snap us some photos and send, if you don't mind, send them over. We'd love to put them out for our audience to see what's going on because not everybody gets the opportunity to travel over there. I hope to be over there next year, which is going to be great. But that's next year. We want to see what's happening now.
Absolutely. That's the joys of the trade shows here because they are 4 p.m. till 11 p.m. Wow. So people can work during the day and then come and really get stuck into all the different conversations and the technology and innovation that's being showed. So for someone like me, it's a long day, but honestly, the amount of energy that you do get from it when talking to people, I love talking about prefabrication. That's obvious, but the energy that you just get from it, and the excitement in and around that innovation and the solutions that we can provide. Every time I have a conversation, it's like another hit. It's great.
That's awesome. I'm glad to hear it. I'm glad you're having fun over there. And I think it is a great idea to have trade shows later in the evening so people can attend. Let's go to a quick question here. Henry Mickelberg says, question, the bane of clever IC MEP has been the approvals and resistance to move away from normal connections. Has the NEOM KSA suite of bespoke regulations helped in the acceptance of your clever solutions?
Yeah, so obviously, hi Henry, and thanks for watching. The thing in and around regulations is, and NEOM and even Saudi Arabia is the regulations and restrictions in and around it. If there are some there, then let's work through them. There is a large focus on that. When we look at we did some close work with the NFPAA in and around fire. Because if there are any grey areas, it's probably because we've not done certain things before. So just because something hasn't been done before doesn't mean it can't be done. So some of the restrictions and regulations can be changed. And I think that's what I was saying before. Saudi Arabia has got the opportunity to really lead the way, but then prove certain technologies or certain systems and regulations can be changed and can be adapted to make way for further progression. Because that's sometimes one of the biggest sticking points from an MEP perspective is you're stuck by regulation and you can't really innovate because the building codes don't allow you to. So interesting to see the ICC, like you said before in your spit there, that it's great to hear, but it's a very, very slow uptake. Whereas when I helped develop a product called the NEOM Guide to IDNC, and there was a big section in there in and around the regulations and the governance and things that we needed to adapt or focus on areas that could be called problematic later on. So yeah. And again, Saudi Arabia have the opportunity later on to share that with the world and share that IP because they ultimately there'll be multiple modular factories be established here in this country that will then in turn export. There's numerous ports in and around Saudi Arabia. So yeah, watch this space, Henry.
Watch the space, Henry, he said. He does. He watches all the time. So good to see you, Henry. All right, so let's talk, since NEOM has such a heavy focus on offsite construction, they want modular manufacturers, they want panelized, they even want mass timber in the desert. There's all these things happening. With that said, if all of this offsite construction, to include the MEP side of things that you guys are doing, is a success in Saudi, do you think it's going to help the rest of the world start going, maybe we should use more offsite versus how we've been doing it?
Yeah, I think so. Again, when I worked on the NEOM Guide to Industrialized Design and Construction, the different projects there have different pain points. Trojena is up in the mountains. The Gulf of Aqaba is on the coastline, but then there's the islands. So getting modular or panelized solutions to, modular might not work getting up into the mountains, but a panelized solution might be best. So so geographically and the topography of Saudi Arabia allows us to explore what works in certain areas, what works well up in the mountains, what works well in remote locations. The speed of construction, I did an exercise with a client, and based on transportation, if we were to manufacture something here in Jeddah and then transport it, was 180 deliveries at X cost. Whereas if we actually containerized the plant and built a factory in a box and built that near site, and a lot of these mega and giga sites have massive standing or logistic areas, and manufactured locally, so not off-site, more near site, or do final stage construction like a panelized system to volumetric at final stage at site. There's a lot of benefits to be had out of there. So I think the lessons learned manuals and books are going to be astronomical, and then can be replicated around the world very, very easily.
For sure. I don't know if you know this person, but it's not showing up on the profile here, but Juan Carlos Cabrero. Congratulations, Dave and Jennifer. Great to see Neil on the show. So, hey, Juan, thanks. Sorry, your LinkedIn must have you blocked from showing up on third-party apps, but there you are anyhow. I got you.
Yes, I know Juan. He runs some very good industrialized construction courses out in Madrid. Really pushing the innovation and the adoption of prefabrication. And again, the MEP comes up because it's kind of the afterthought. We're doing the volumetric, we're doing bathroom pods, we're doing this, but the MEP, it's just we'll shove it in later on, and then it's a 6 to 8 month fit out. So one knows the painstaking process, but they're making some great developments over there in Spain, which is great to see.
Yeah. So let me sum this up and see if I miss anything, Neil. So the value of using Victrolic, right, or calling Neil and your team Neil, is one, you're going to help me design my entire MEP system. You're going to prefabricate my MEP system using your patented coupling links that requires less screws, less labor, everything, but has been proven to be stronger and more efficient. Not only are you going to do that, you're going to manufacture my entire MEP system and ship it in a box, so to speak, to the site. So while I'm building, you're already manufacturing my MEP, so you're picking up my time, right? So as I think this through, you guys have an educational and training program for all of your certified MEP installers on location, and you guys service the daylights out of these, on location. So by having you on my team, I'm increasing my team of experts having your factory. So I'm just trying to get this all right so everybody gets it. And then on top of that, you're not only thinking about my project today, but you've already thought about my project in the future. Should I want to renovate or make changes or add additions to a building, your couplings and the way your system is designed with the thought of expansion, in the future in mind as well. Did I miss anything?
No, that was a really great summary. That is fundamentally what we're there to do is this support. One of the things that you said is increasing decreasing time and labor. One of the hooks that I used to use is for contractors, I can double the amount of projects that you work on and complete without adding a single additional member of staff. So and it's the same. If you work with Victolic, you're doing a lot more with less people. So if we're landing plant skids and prefabricated sub-assemblies, your labor pool is a lot less because all you're doing is moving machinery into final location. You haven't got fitters, welders, all these different skills on site. They could be spread across multiple sites. So working with Victolic will actually allow you to do a lot more with the same or less. And if everyone's going through the same painstaking process of recruitment, skill shortages, labor rates, material costs, all those painstaking points, Victolic has a solution across nearly every industry when it comes to the application of fire, non-fire, oil, gas. If you're moving liquids or gases, then we can certainly help. And then on the MEP side, if we are working with skids and there's electrical components, we have gone to the lengths of mounting equipment. We're not going to finally wire something. We're not a wiring company, but there's a lot that we can go to. Again, if it's viable and if it makes sense to do it, if we're building something here and then sending it up to NEOM 12 hours away and you can't find an electrician for love and money on site, we'll mount your equipment. So there's a lot of things that we can do, and this goes. That's it, and this goes on a global scale. This doesn't just apply to Saudi Arabia. We've been doing prefabrication around the world for some time. We have a presence in over 140 countries. So, we're here to stay.
I got another question from Graham, and I'll get to that in just 1 second here. But if it's like all other offsite solutions, the value add isn't in the cost widget to widget because your widgets are very proprietary. People have to understand the life cycle cost to truly understand the value. And like you said, saving 60,000 bolts or whatever, right? Saving, getting heads on beds 9 months earlier because then you start generating that income. So I think, am I right in saying that you got to look at the whole value proposition, not just your coupling versus somebody else's coupling, or that'd be my guess, right?
Absolutely, yeah. So, you touch on the bolts then. The more bolts, the more potential leak points you have. Right. It's the same as the more joints you have, the more potential leak joints you have. Yeah. What we try and do is we try to reduce and go through optimization as much as we can to reduce the amount of bolts. Now, there's other value adds of the Victolic product in and around. People talk about its flexibility, its movement. That you can actually take a lot of products out, like vibration elimination, and there's so many different other benefits of the product that have been discovered through engineering. Again, through engineering, seismic, structural analysis, thermal expansion, contraction. That solution is there as it's not just selling widgets, it's all the value add. So right away, it's not just the guys on site where I was talking about you're going to save labor and you're going to save time. Well, the VDC, the design, will give you the tools or will help you do the design. If you want structural stress analysis, thermal analysis, we could do that as well. So it's we just tap into our resource, and it's not buy a widget from us. It's we'll partner with us. Let's work together to build your project. And then you've got a happy client. And then in 10 years' time, they say, oh, that Victolic system still, we haven't had any issues with it. This is the company that installed it or fitted it for us. It's going to give great kudos to you as well. So.
Well, that's it. And repeat business is always the best business, right? So
Absolutely.
All right, let's take a question here. Graham O'Doherty says, hey, Graham, hey, Neil, has Victolic got a project management process they offer to contractors to facilitate the new ways of working?
Yes, yeah. Hi, Graham. I know Graham. Me and Graham work together in NEOM. Yes, we do. So that project management process flow is both for client and internal operation as well. And it is something that obviously I recently joined Victolic and they have a process flow, but we are redefining it to from both internally and externally to make sure we capture all that information. But from an internal perspective, it's how that information gets passed and moved around internally within the business within certain timelines. And there's automated processes to that then create triggers and flags to relevant people if it's not been actioned. So yeah, that project management process flow is absolutely vital. The technology that we have internally, so Revit modeling, we have tracking and spool tracking, so you can see where things are, whether it's been cut, grooved, assembled, where it's part of a sub-assembly, if it's been delivered to site, whether it's been installed. So we have a spool tracker app as well for site installation, but we have multiple different Revit tools that allow our client base to see exactly where we are. So that embracing technology from design engineering, but the project management process flow is just vital, because I would rather not get emails from clients than get phone calls and emails from clients. Yeah. And if they just follow that process, if they just follow that flow and they're getting regular updates because someone's clicked the box and we maximize automated process flows, then I can take on more work and do more prefabrication, which is what I love doing.
I love it. All right, Neil, we're just about out of time. Is there anything that we have not touched on that you want to make sure everybody knows about Vitalik or about Neil yourself?
Yeah, no, the only thing I would say is obviously you have a great worldwide audience. If anybody is interested in Vitalik or Vitalik systems, but ultimately solutions, we are a solutions provider. Yes, we do have widgets and valves. But if anyone does want to reach out, then get in contact with myself. Like I said, I look after Saudi Arabia, but we are a global organization. So if anyone is interested in and wants some further information, more than happy to reach out to me, and then I can put you in touch with the relevant teams and people, because, yeah, like I said, we are doing prefabrication around the world. If anyone wants any case studies or further information, just reach out, because we've got plenty of it. Check out the website as well. There's a lot of technical data on there. But there's the Vitalik University is on there. There's a lot of courses. If people really want to get entrenched with Vitalik, then just reach out.
I want to get entrenched. Let's do it, man. The website is definitely an extensive website, and I was flashing some of the solutions up there while you were talking. So, Neil, listen, really appreciate it. Don't forget to send us some of those photos from the expo there. We definitely want to share those with our audience. Don't go anywhere. We'll come back to you at the end of the show. But for the rest of you out there, it's Wednesday. You got 2.5 days to keep building it better. Of course, unless you're in Saudi Arabia, it's probably like 9, 10 o'clock at night or something like that. But what time is it there, Neil?
It's 10 to 9, and our work week is Sunday to Thursday, so we're closer to the weekend than you are as well.
Well, there you go. Well, for the majority of us Westerners, you still got 2.5 days to build it better. Hey, make sure you say thank you to all of these supporting members as well. And again, if you want to see your logo ticking across the bottom of our screen, and on top of that, you get value from all of these great conversations, hey, keep us in mind, because we are unedited. We are invite only. Nobody tells us who comes on the show or what we talk about, but it takes some support to make all of this happen and bring all that knowledge to all of you out there. So reach out to us if you're interested. Neil, thanks so much. Don't go anywhere. I'll come back to you at the end of the show.
Sure.
What an amazing show. Thank you to all of our sponsors for helping us to continue to bring all of these innovative conversations to all of you out there. Please visit them, see what they have to offer you. And as always, subscribe to the YouTube channel and ring that bell. It would mean the world to us. I'm Dave Cooper. Thanks for watching.